Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So it's been no secret that the past couple of weeks have been very good for none other than Donald Trump, referred to by many as Donald John America. You had the DNC, it was dull. Democrats did not get a convention bump. If anything, they've gotten a convention slump. Harris is peaking in a lot of these polls. Even the more liberal polls are starting to move to the right by a little bit. And Harris had her interview. It didn't go too well. And you got the RFK endorsement of Donald Trump trying to pull his name from the ballot in several states, some more successfully than others, or were they? We're going to get into that in a little bit. But what we do know is it's been a very good couple weeks for Donald Trump and his electoral prospects, and it arguably just got a little bit better because Donald Trump, a lot of people were worried, are they going to put him in jail? No, they can't do it because they're postponing his sentencing in the New York City trial until after the election. And all the other trials, they're postponed. We know they're not going to start before the election takes place either. Donald Trump, they're not going to be able to put him in jail. And you could even make the case that this is kind of a wash, and it is, because it's possible that if they gave Trump a sentence for jail, he'd be able to kind of push it back with the appeal sentence and probably be able to fundraise a lot off of it. But right now you see Donald Trump, he is not going to be going to jail before the election. And if he wins, they're not going to really be able to touch him at that point, and they know it. So already Donald Trump, he's in a very good position based off of that. Regardless of how anybody wants to chalk it up, it's not a negative thing for him. Even if you could say them trying to put him in jail would backfire, I've been consistent about that. But the fact that he's not going to be sentenced before the election, maybe they've just realized that the more that they ramp up the lawfare, the more it makes Donald Trump a martyr, and it vindicates every single thing that he said about these people. And they know it, but it's also tough because they also know that Donald Trump probably is going to win this election. And Democrat insiders know it. They've been pretending like that's not been the case, but you see what Kamala Harris is doing. She's polling, not even 2 points ahead after August, which usually is when Democrats go up in the polls, and right after the DNC. She did not get a convention bump. She's not putting states in play like Texas and Florida. She's not even shoring up really any swing state into her column. We've seen two very high-quality in-state pollsters out of the state of Michigan over the past week have Donald Trump leading the state of Michigan. And it seems like, yeah, she's kind of gained a little bit in Georgia, in Nevada for some reason, but are those leads stable? You also have the debate coming up this upcoming week. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out down the stretch for sure. But one thing we do know is that Donald Trump is the favorite, regardless of what some of the polling says, which the polling is kind of 50-50. But in terms of the betting favorite, Donald Trump is the betting favorite. Because if this is Harris's peak, then Donald Trump will be the polling favorite come election day. And the debate's going to be interesting to watch. But what we do know is the economic data is weak. They keep missing the mark. And we've seen them revise down the jobs numbers. There were 1 million jobs they said existed that didn't exist. This is their own Department of Labor that came forward and said this. But you see this, 142,000 jobs in August, lower than expected. Earlier months get revised down. Manufacturing jobs are in the negatives. Unemployment technically ticked down a hair to 4.2%. That's still higher than it was last year or much of this year. They kept touting, oh, how many months below 4%? Yeah, but the problem is that it's a lot of it is just hot air. This is not a robust economy. Sometimes the unemployment rate being low obviously is a good thing, but it doesn't tell the full story about the economy. You have people checking out of the labor force, and who's exactly checking in? A lot of non-citizen jobs, they're going up, but the jobs for American citizens, you're not even at pre-COVID levels, which is a major, major problem. You're kind of seeing this happen. Wages are being driven down as a result, and prices are being driven up. The economy is not stable, and most Americans say that the economy is not in a very good position. I think 59% claim that we're in a recession, and obviously you see the public perception of the economy not being good. That's what matters, more so than the raw numbers that most people probably can't cite, and they don't really see it based on the vibes, because the vibes do absolutely matter for the economy. So Harris is tied to Biden. The ads that Trump is running about Harris embracing Bidenomics, yeah, it definitely plays out well. And the fact that she's campaigning with Joe Biden over the past couple of days, you have Biden out there on the campaign trail in Wisconsin, you have Harris and Biden in Pennsylvania. It's like, what are you doing at this stage in the game? They're calling out their secret weapon, but their secret weapon's the guy who they literally did a soft coup on because they knew he couldn't beat Donald Trump. Yeah, I don't really think that they're acting all that competently, and they're acting desperate. That's the thing. When they act desperate, it is a win for us. They are liars. A lot of these people, they used to be disingenuous. They always were disingenuous back in 2016, but it was easier to attack Trump then when he was more of an unknown figure. And then 2020, Trump was vindicated on a lot of things in 2020, but it was kind of easy for them to, pick apart certain things about COVID. Without COVID, without the whole BLM stuff, they were not winning that election under any circumstances, and they know it regardless of what those early polls said back in 2019 or early 2020. But when you look at what they're doing and how they've been behaving, all they do is lie. Oh, we created 16 million jobs. No, you didn't. You recovered a bunch of jobs. By that logic, Trump created like 12 million jobs in the last 8 months of his presidency because those were just recovered jobs from COVID. And a lot of that was Republican states reopening. And then when Democrat states reopened under Biden, you got all those jobs in California, Illinois, Michigan, New York, you name it. Oh, he created all these jobs. No, he's actually created net negative jobs since pre-COVID for native-born Americans. That's not good. That's not good whatsoever. And the American people know that the economy is weak, and Harris being tied to Biden, it's not exactly going to work out too well. But also, we know they're lying, and the Associated Press is doing their bidding, and we see this here. J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, talking about the horrific situation in Georgia, saying how it's sad that this has become a fact of life and we need harder security in schools to prevent this from happening. And the AP says, oh, J.D. Vance basically said it's a fact of life, get over it. Again, it wasn't like he had a gaffe or like he tried to say the other thing. No, he objectively said that this is not a good thing, that it's become a fact of life, which is true. It's become a routine occurrence and people's lives are being lost. It's a horrendous situation that's going on in our country right now. We have a mental health crisis. You're not going to solve it by taking everybody's guns away. You're going to solve it by getting to the root cause of the mental health crisis in our country, and that starts with making America healthy again. Ironically, that's Donald Trump's platform that he's kind of working on with RFK Jr. He's going to put him in charge, make him the health czar. That's going to do a lot more to stop these mass shootings, these mass terror events than anything else, trying to take away AR-15s, which most gun owners like to shoot for fun. They shoot it at the range, trying to just take people's guns away like Kamala Harris has proposed with these mandatory buybacks. That's not exactly something that's going to cut it. And that's what Vance is also talking about, is we need more security, which means more guns in these places, not having these gun-free zones where this is allowed to take place in. And he's calling for better security. But apparently the AP, the Biden campaign, they run with this lie because that's all they have. All they have are lies. They can't really effectively attack Donald Trump's record as president or anything that he says, so they have to take things grossly out of context in order to have anything to run on. When you're doing that, you're not winning. That's not the actions of a campaign that's winning. There's no policies for Kamala Harris. If she actually had to go through a real election process, she would not make it through the primary. She didn't even make it to Iowa in 2020. But even if they still coronated her and she had to run the entire election cycle, yeah, it would not work out too well for Kamala Harris. We know that because this sugar high would have never been able to exist, and she'd make a lot of gaffes. She'd be forced to talk to the media more often than she currently does. But when you look at this, Speaking of RFK Jr. and Harris, another major setback for Kamala Harris took place today because a judge in North Carolina ruled that the ballots are going to need to be reprinted. RFK Jr. winning his lawsuit in North Carolina. Same thing in Michigan, by the way. And North Carolina is one of the first states that has early voting, like mail-in ballots were supposed to go out, I believe, today or tomorrow, to the point where, yeah, there's not going to be any early voting before the debate, which is also a very good thing because this is a very competitive swing state. And you look at this, a judge in North Carolina, a judge in Michigan, RFK Jr. looked like he was going to be on the ballot in those states. But no, he's off the ballot in Nevada, Florida, Texas, Virginia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, now North Carolina and Michigan. The only state he remains on the ballot is Wisconsin. But keep in mind, the way these lawsuits have been going, the way these judges have been ruling, it's unlikely, in my opinion, that he stays on in Wisconsin. He could get removed there too. I think it's like, a 50-50 shot at worst that he gets removed. That's not to say he can't still be on. But it's huge in North Carolina because they have their unorthodox ballot ordering that has Harris and RFK at the top. If Kennedy's not in the ballot, you may have some, lower information type of voters that may have seen the ballot and, oh, Kennedy, I'll vote him. Now they're not going to be able to do that because he's not on the ballot. Donald Trump might benefit a little bit here and there. I still think he's going to break 50% in North Carolina regardless, to the point where it doesn't matter. But you talk about this electoral map. If he gets North Carolina, even just a little bit of an improvement in these places, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Georgia, that's it. That's the ball game. If he doesn't get Georgia, he can win with Arizona, where he increased his vote share by 1%. If he does that again, he's hitting 50. Same thing with Nevada, where he increased his vote share by a couple points from 2016 to 2020. If he's able to get up there, around 50%, he's going to be able to go take the state of Nevada as well. And if he takes Arizona and Nevada, all he needs is Pennsylvania and obviously North Carolina and the rest of the 2020 states. He's going to be elected the 47th president of the United States at that point. So we need to make sure that it happens, and we need to make sure that we do everything in our power to register voters, chase ballots, make sure we leave nothing off the field this election cycle. We've got 2 months to go. It's going to be a lot of fun, but we got to make sure we win this thing and get Donald Trump back in the White House and complete the revenge tour, the comeback story. There's nothing more American than that, so let's make sure we get it done. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.